So in this week's video, I sat down and talked to the very first person who inspired me to pick up the pencil and start drawing. My brother. We talked about art, inspiration, and Comic-Con. This is just a brief glimpse into one of the many people and things that inspired me to discover my God-given talent. I do hope you enjoy it.
As an artist, certain things catch your eye that don't catch the eyes of people
Other
that
people.
are not an artist. You know?
They're not looking at it the same way.
They don't look at things. You know, we look at our environment in a different way. We see them through like an artistic eye.
Yeah.
You know? It's just different for us.
It's a different
because we see the art in everything.
Yeah, they're looking at like a cool character. You're looking at the cool character, but you're also looking at like the way
the colors.
Look at the way the colors look. Look at the way that arm looks.
Exactly. So.
Yeah, you look at the little. We geek out about the little details. And there was a time where you were going to Boston with Mike. It was like a summer. You went to Boston to visit Dad and to spend some time out there with him. And I stayed home, and I remember that summer, I was just drawing. Like, I drew so much. It was the first time, it was the earliest memory that I have of me actually drawing, like, stuff, like, actually trying to make something cool and make it look cool. And it wasn't superheroes. It was like cereal box cartoon characters, maybe some storybook cartoons that we had or whatever, things like that. And I was so excited when you were coming back because I was like, man, I want to show him because I was proud of them. And I remember finally showing you and being excited to do that. And I don't know, you probably thought they were complete trash.
I don't remember that.
Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember
that. That was the earliest memory where I had. And I remember being proud because I was like, man, I want to show the person to me. Again, it's not that I was thinking into it like this. Of course, in retrospect, I see it that way, that the person who inspired and influenced me the most, and now it's like for your approval, like I wanted to show you these things, you know what I mean? Yeah. So these are the things, so this is a way, again, how you inspired me, but tell me a little bit about what is it that inspired, or remind me what it was that inspired you, like how your earliest memory of that.
So that one's easy for me too. My earliest memory of having any type of interest in art was with Dad. We drew a deer. I drew the deer, but he kind of coached me through it. And I mean, it took off from there.
Yeah, I remember that. It was like on a board or something?
Yeah, like a small little board, and like I still remember like the colors and do this and do that. Make sure you get this depth and this, you know, so and
this was before comics or characters or anything like that.
This was like the very first. I think if I had to put an age to that time, I might have been like 7 years old.
Yeah, wow.
You know, so
man, wow, man, those were really good times, man. Then time went on and got older. I remember I started then because I started off with drawing, and then I got into painting. Something about painting I just really liked. And we would watch Bob Ross. I think I actually probably found him through Dad or something. I don't remember. But I got into painting, and I really, I think when I started painting, that's when I started to feel like, I think I want to do this, like, for the rest of my life. I wasn't thinking career, but it just felt like I really was attached to this thing. What was your experience with art during this time? Or like, what kind of happened with you in that?
Being a teen, I still remember when I kind of set that pencil down and stopped kind of drawing, and just I didn't lose interest in art. It's just that, you know, as we can all relate, as a teenager, I was like 16 years old in high school, and I wanted to hang out with friends. Yeah. So there was no more time to be, you know, sitting at a desk or a table.
Yeah. Especially in New York, because you hear, you could be in your room outside, and you hear everyone outside. So,
you know, I regret it because I see where you are in you know, in art, and I, you know, like I said, I never lost interest in art. So I regret setting that pencil down, because the last I remember about art was a pencil and
Yeah,
piece of paper.
and piece of paper.
Now everything's on
Digital,
tablet, and I don't
Yeah.
know any of that. And it's funny because you say that I kind of inspired you. When I think of that, I just think to myself like, wow, I'm almost ashamed to even say that I was the one who inspired me because my art is nowhere near
No, man.
like where you are. But I'm really proud of you. Every time
I
I
appreciate
get
that.
a chance to, so it kind of brings me back to when you were like so happy and excited to show me what you had done.
Yeah.
Now I'm excited to show people like, this is my brother.
brother,
Like,
that's
this
so
is his
funny.
artwork.
Do you think that you ever lose that? Do you think that, I know that you've spent some years, and I do believe that like with time you can get rusty and things like that. It happens to me. Even if I go just a few days, I'll feel rusty in my hands, so, but do you think that you ever completely lose it?
I honestly do not think that you lose that. I think it's kind of like riding a bicycle, where if you don't ride a bicycle for X amount of years, just like everything else, once you get going and you
pick,
just
it feels like you
consistent,
never stopped. Yeah.
that's it. It's like
Yeah.
the training wheels kick back off and then you're good to go.
So now fast forwarding to like a lot more recently, skipping through a bunch of years, but I was a Comic-Con artist, basically. I mean, we were going to all different like cities and stuff.
Yeah.
We went to Seattle, Chicago, couple cities in California. And I remember, same thing, it was like that experience with Comic-Con, it was wild. And there's a lot of things for a whole other video another time. But it just kind of reminded me again, like, man, you've always been really encouraging. You've always wanted to be a part of that, that walk, that journey, in my creative career.
Nice.
How did you feel about those trips? Like, how did you look at them? Like,
those are memories that are gonna be there forever. I see those as like an amazing experience because traveling to all these different cities around the U.S. And just seeing the different Comic-Cons, seeing like the different characters, how people are so very much into their whole, cosplay.
Yeah. And it just made you realize like the amount of people, it was like thousands of people that would come through a Comic-Con show on one weekend. And we would, it was, the way that it worked is like I would have a table and remember I would have all the artwork displayed and everything, and people would come by. And it was just a tremendous experience. And I remember thinking like, wow, I didn't realize that this is a whole other world of stuff. And going to so many different cities and seeing like the crowds coming in, again, I just thought, I didn't know that this existed. And you probably thought the same thing.
Oh yeah. You know what? You might not say this because you're trying to stay humble or modest, but it was really cool to see people like their faces would light up and point and say, "Oh my God, I've seen you on Reddit or online, basically."
Yeah.
And just say like, "Man, I've been looking forward to meeting you."
Wow,
So that was just, to me, is amazing.
Yeah.
That was so cool. I felt like the proud brother. Just there. Everything about traveling and the Comic-Con shows, every single part of it, jumping on a plane, flying to this new city, was just an amazing experience.
I mean, I remember we would even sneak in alcohol. Do you remember that? Like that was, we weren't supposed to do that.
Well, the excitement, I remember just like, part of the experience was we'd land in this new city, find the closest liquor store, grab a bottle, and then I think it's the excitement of like, we're sneaking in this bottle, that we're not supposed to. And we would sneak it in even despite, the security.
Taking that chance,
just looking
the embarrassment that could have happened. And we never got caught.
And we never once got caught.
So it was like we were working a table, but we were just kind of hanging out and just having fun. I remember
and
those
meeting
were
new people.
and meeting people.
We've met a lot of cool people.
Absolutely, and I think that a lot of that's in some ways how my art career kind of continued to take off, because I made a lot of business connections through that.
Definitely.
But those wild days of Comic-Con, there's a lot in there to unpack and talk about, and I think that's for a future video testimony. But nevertheless, it was the truth. It was just the reality of what life was like for me in that point. But again, I just wanted to kind of sit down and talk with you about this because as an artist, you're inspired by a lot of things. I'm inspired by many other different artists. I'm inspired by music. I'm inspired by all kinds of things. But as I thought about it, again, just to tie it back to the beginning of this, I was very much, the earliest memory that I have as an artist being inspired was by you and seeing your drawings. And I remember just thinking, like, asking you to draw things for me, because I didn't know how to draw at the time. And so I just wanted to thank you for that, man, because all the way, bringing this all the way up to Comic-Con, it just, from childhood all the way up until then, you've just always been encouraging to me, and I think that's important.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. There's a lot of people who, in the art community, you hear that a lot, that people are like, oh, my family or my mom or whoever, they would try to talk me out of it. They didn't want me to do art. And I thank God. Yeah, I thank God that you guys were always super encouraging of me. And I'm talking about you. I do want to point out that Mike and Ron, like my, other two brothers, they would come to the shows too and things like that. But I think I've been very fortunate to have you guys and be very supportive of me.
I appreciate those kind words, and it makes me feel really good inside that I was that person for you. Sometimes we don't even realize that we are
having an impact on somebody.
But now I get to say that I'm proud of my brother for where he is in his art career. So
cool, man.
That's really awesome.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it, man. All right, cool, man. We'll do it.